All right, and we are live now. Hopefully the sound, everything's all right. If it's not, please let me know. If you can't hear me, can't see me, let me know. Before I go any further, hey, leave a thumbs up, leave a thumbs down. Do what you want to do. It's up to you. It's your choice. That's what's so wonderful about life. You get to choose. Leave a thumbs up, leave a thumbs down, subscribe, leave a comment after the fact. Feel free to chat, say hello, tell me where you're from, whatever. That would be nice. And if you can, share this or don't. It's up to you. Everything's up to you. That's the beauty. You can do what you want. You can watch, not watch. Really doesn't matter. It's all up to you. Okay? Today, so far, is a beautiful morning. It is 77 degrees. Feels like 77 degrees. Sunny, which is a change because for the last week or so it's been raining. And it's still scheduled to rain all this week. But at the moment, 20% chance of rain, high of 86, low of 73, 93% humidity, which is one of the negatives of living in Thailand, is that it is quite humid. The air quality index is 55. There is zero wind. And the baht is 31.8 up to the 0.8 to the dollar, which is up slightly. Dollar is slightly stronger. It's dropped below 31 for a little bit. And what's that in C? What's that in C? I don't understand you. Mr. Mitch, I was wondering about you. How you doing? How's your father doing? How's everything going? Now, it's Monday here in Thailand. And in the United States, I believe Monday is Christopher Columbus. They're still celebrating it, or are they? What is this? They don't even have it. They don't even have it listed here as a public holiday. Wow. Let's see. Is it still listed as a... I thought it was. Individual states and territories have different holidays, but for whatever reason... Oh, C. What's that in C? Oh, Celsius. I don't know why we wasn't thinking that. Not all that hot. Let me see here. I forget the whole calculation. It's like 5/8 and it's 25 Celsius. So it's kind of cool here. It's been cooling off. We haven't needed the air very much lately, which is quite nice. But let's see here. What was I looking for? October. Where are we at? Boy, they've got every holiday possible here. What is the deal here? October 12th. Native American Day. Oh, excuse me. Columbus Day, October 12th, federal holiday. All right. So it is there, which is, listen, it's been Columbus Day since I was born. It's going to stay Columbus Day until the day I die. That's the way I look at it. I'm sorry. I'm not changing for all this PC nonsense. It's been good for more than 500 years. Anyway, so that is a holiday. Now, a couple things going on here in Thailand. The first is, I didn't even know about this until this morning, but there was a train crash in Chachoengsao, and 18 passengers were killed, 44 were injured when a bus collided with the train near Klong Kwang Klan railway station, around 50 kilometers east of Bangkok. Now, I went west, so obviously I wouldn't have been on this this path, but, you know, very well could have been. So, 72, 5/9, that's what it is. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, I always forget the formula because I don't use it that much. You know, in my head, I have an idea about what it is, you know. Zero is zero. 0 Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I know that. And then you can build up from there. If you want, you can just use that formula if you remember it. Which I should do, to be honest. I should be converting in my brain here. But, you know, it's taken me a long time just to be able to write the numbers in Thai. And they're not all that difficult. You know, it's only 10 numbers. And 0 is 0. So really 9. But anyway, so that's one thing that happened was this accident with the train, which obviously that's not good for the 18 people and all the people injured and their families. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to say it one more time. Now, if you have been here for a while or you've been following Thailand or you've been traveling to Thailand, you might know who Bernard Trink is. Bernard Trink is an old columnist for the Bangkok Post, and I believe it was the Bangkok World before that. But he was around for a long time. He used to have this column called The Night Owl. You could compare it a little bit to like the Stickman and the stories or whatever, but or his commentary rather, not the stories so much. Although Bernard Trink did have a lot of stories, and I would see him around when I first came here. I would see him a little bit. Because he had these, he always wore his pants, you know, like the stereotypical pants way too high and, you know, kind of like the pen, what do you call the little pen, the little plastic pen holder in that kind of guy, you know. But he was funny when he wrote, and he didn't pull any punches, and unfortunately he passed away. He was 89 years old, and he was a real personality here in Thailand, and I'm sure if you really look, you can find some of his articles. So it's too bad, but yeah, he passed away. Now the other thing is that this morning I forgot that I just came back from Kanchanaburi. When I went to Kanchanaburi, what happens is the hotel that I stayed at. They take your passport, they copy it, they send it off to immigration. Now, as soon as immigration gets it, they note you are in a different location. Once you come back, because how the immigration has it set up with this TM-30, once you come back to your new location, you need to inform immigration. So I had to contact my landlord. Actually, I can't contact my landlord's daughter and ask her to input everything. And the reason that it's so important, at least for me, is because if you're trying to do a 90-day report, which is just like the TM-30, a bit of a pain in the neck, and to me it's asking a bit much of foreigners if you really want foreigners here. Just my opinion. But, you got to do it if you're going to get the 90-day report, because if you are trying to file a 90-day report and you have not filed that TM-30 and you have moved around, then they're going to say, sorry, you need to update that. And that's what they did to me the last time. So, now what here? Where am I at? Anyway, so with this TM-30, most foreigners, including myself, do not like this. Now, I read an update from November 9th on 1D Property, which is a Bangkok property agent. There's a nice-looking woman. I guess this is the owner of the website. I don't know. Or she's just some nice-looking woman they threw up on the website. But she's got something here that says, good news is coming for expat renters worried about Thailand's onerous TM-30 foreigner reporting requirements. On November 4th, I heard directly from a credible senior Thai source that a fix is on the way. that on November 4th, the fix is on the way and is likely in another 2 months. Let's see here. Frustrations have mounted for expat renters since the law was more forcibly applied. In this article, I clarify the TM-30 reporting for my clients, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So she does not say exactly what the changes will be, but she does say that there is a rumor going around that they will modify that TM-30 rule, and I think that's a good thing. I think that now's the time to make all the changes and really get everything wired. Nail it all down, tighten up the ship a little bit, and get everything squared away. Because once the tourists start to come, forget about it. Then the expats, if they start to come back, forget about it. Then it's the immigration's going to be full on, and I'm sure they're dealing with a lot of upset people right now. A lot of people, worried. They're scared. They're frustrated. So anyway, I think that the TM-30 is one less thing for foreigners to think about, especially the expats like myself. It reminds me of Myanmar, where every place you go, you've got to give the passport. They've got to take copies. Doesn't matter where you are. You need to report where you are, and they would follow you in Myanmar. Now they're not doing that here, but that's one reason I don't particularly like it. It reminds me of that. We have to know every move you make. I am having my espresso. Our hot water maker went out, so we fortunately had a backup one. But the one that I got, I don't know how long ago, 2 years ago, it finally went out. Doesn't work, so we chucked it. Last night on my birthday, I had my birthday celebration rather. My wife bought me a lovely piece of lemon cheesecake, which was very good. But the cupcake place was gone, so we didn't have any cupcakes. We just got some cake real small cake for the boys because they don't really like the cake, eating cake. She just had a little piece. I had a taste, and I ate my lemon cheesecake. She's gone now. She's already left. She left at 5 o'clock in the morning. So now I'm on my own here. So I'm on my own. All the boys, I think Alex is still here, but I'm here with Sid, the crazy cat. Now, what else here? Oh, later next week, not this week probably, maybe, I don't know, but I may go to Khao San Road, and I'm actually thinking of asking Jono to go with me, not to do a walk around, but just to go, maybe, I don't know exactly how we'll do it. His knee has really been bothering him, and he needs to stay off it, but I'm always asking him if he wants to go because I like his company. We're never at a shortage of things to talk about, that's for sure. Now, Khao San Road is supposedly reopening on October 31st on Halloween, and then they will open again on November 28th and 29th, as well as New Year's Eve. I don't know exactly what that means, but I believe it means the vendors can come back. It'll be in full swing. So if you're in Thailand, that may be a place you want to go, may not be, like I say all the time, up to you. And like Thai say all the time, up to you. Now, I was reading something that my buddy sent me. And then, I don't know if that place is still open or still in business. There's a spa. And, every time I go to get a foot spa, they have their own version of what a foot spa is. I've been wearing shoes a lot more lately, so my feet are not that bad. But if you want to get your feet scrubbed and you want to get them, buffed out to where they're nice and soft, and they put lotion on them, and they give you a little pedicure so your toes are not gnarly, your toenails, and you get a little manicure with it. You can do it for 500, 600 baht, something like that. And they'll give you the good once over. There is a place near Khao San Road that I have been with Mr. Longhorns and I've been there several times. They've always done a pretty good job. But they're always changing staff and everything, and changing. They've changed owners a couple of times. And anyway, I digress. Now, so next week, I believe I'm going to go probably on Tuesday or something of next week. Tuesday or Wednesday or sometime next week, I'm going to go down to Khao San Road, check it out. And maybe go to Rambutri. I'll go down in that area. And so, let me see here. Where are we at? Okay, my buddy sent me an article, and he also sent me a video, and then he sent me a YouTube channel to take a look at. And I talked about it a little bit before. It was about this guy who he had his reasons why he chose to live in Ecuador over various places, including Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Colombia, Panama, Portugal, Thailand, China, the Philippines, and I don't know how many others. But I'm going to go over some of the things that he said, and then I've got some other comments from the people that my buddy is friends with in Ecuador, because he lives in Ecuador now, part-time. He's got a house there, which is quite interesting. This Marshall's t-shirt was sent to me from the United States. So, let me begin here. The first place that he was talking about, first he went to Mexico, and he said he never felt safe, which he never felt 100% safe. And that's what this other group of people, they have a YouTube channel that I was watching one of their videos. They also said that. Now, I've been to Mexico many times, and it's changed since I've been there. But I always did, even back then, get the sense that it could get dangerous very quickly. I didn't trust the police. And so this guy did not want to live there, as many people, they don't want to live there. They want to go there, but they don't want to live there. And as apparently in some poll, the top 12 places, top 12 most dangerous tourist destinations, 6 of those are in Mexico. Which is interesting because Mexico had a couple of the most beautiful cities or the best cities to live in or whatever in those polls I was reading yesterday. Anyway, Dominican Republic, he said, long-term, no. Short-term, okay. But there's a lot of guns. It's too sunny. Super sunny. He's a little bit younger, so he's always using that word super. YouTubers, for some reason, they like to, hello, guys. Oh, and it's super sunny. Yeah. He said he's a white boy, so 30 minutes he's burnt to a crisp, and it's not the cheapest place. It's more expensive than, in some ways, than even in North America. But I can tell you that even Thailand, you can say that about Thailand in some ways. Some of the electronics and everything, by the time you pay for everything, all said and done, you may end up paying more. I went to Khao San Road on 2020 New Year's Eve, and how was it? I try to stay away from Khao San Road at night. I've been there many times in the past. It wasn't one of my favorite places, but I went for a variety of reasons. Most of the time, people I was with wanted to go there. They wanted to check it out or whatever. Now, the next place was Panama. I've been to Panama. Been to Mexico. And he says Panama rains a lot, too much, and it lacks public transportation, so he gave it a pass. He also referred to Colombia. He said very nice people, but an uneasy feeling. He was in Medellin, and he said he didn't ever feel like he really knew who he was messing with, that he had a roommate there, I guess a Colombian roommate, and the guy had a girlfriend, and he thought that maybe this guy was hitting on his girlfriend, and he threatened to kill him. And then the guy moved out, and the guy apparently stalked him afterwards. But, these are problems that, I don't know, to me, I don't think I would have this kind of a problem, even if I was single. Probably because I would not be rooming with a Colombian. I would want my own place. So anyway, to each his own, but I'm just giving his breakdown of what he said and what, if I've been to the places, do I agree? And I do agree with a lot of what this guy says. Yeah, we've been talking about that. I've been talking about it ever since he passed away, but, Alex was extremely bummed out about it. He's supposedly, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but there's some, he didn't even tell me about it. He just said there's a challenge where everybody plays Eruption and you put it on a video or something like that. I don't know if it's on YouTube or what the deal is, but he was talking about that, and he says, "Yeah, I want to," because he's played a little bits of it, but it is fairly difficult. But anyway, he's been listening to a lot of Van Halen lately, and I was watching something that Longhorn sent me this morning. It was almost like an hour-long interview with him. And once he started talking about music, you could tell he was completely at ease, It was pretty good interview. Anyway, moving on. The next place he's talking about was the Philippines. And this is, I wrote down pretty much word for word what he said. Big problems with living in the PI, and you don't really know about them until you're actually there. Now, here's the thing. This is the big caveat. Don't move somewhere if you've never been there and spent time there. Don't do it. It's stupid. Don't just say, I want to live in Thailand, but you've never been to Thailand, or you came to Thailand for 2 weeks and now you want to live here. Come multiple times. Spend a month. Spend 3 months. Spend 6 months. Do what you can. It's foolish to just say, that'd be like me saying, okay, you know what, I think I'm going to go to Mozambique, and I've heard good things about it, I'm going to move there. That's a hell of a risk. And even Thailand, and, I've said it for a long time, and I know people get angry at me, especially Filipinos, but the Philippines, to me, is more outwardly dangerous than Thailand. Far more. And I think the statistics back me up on that. Now, what he was complaining about was the immense poverty throughout the PI, too much poverty, local food. He wasn't digging it, which is something that I've talked about in the past. I don't particularly like all of Filipino food. I find a lot of it just not very good. I don't like it. There are some things, the lechon, what is the pork soup that's on the pork on a bone, that's a soup. There's various dishes that I do like. I have had some good Filipino food, but when I go out for Thai food, or I go out to eat somewhere and I just figure I'm going to go to some little Thai place, most of the time I know I'm going to get at least decent food. Most of the time I'll get good food, even great food, and it'll cost me a pittance. It really won't cost me much. So I understand that about the PI, and I personally have said I don't want to live in the PI. I wouldn't want to live there. It's not that I don't like the Philippines. I do. The people have always been very nice to me, aside from online. When I've been there, the people have been very nice, yeah, that's exactly what it was, the pork knuckle. But to live there for me, I think it would try my patience, and I think it would try many people's patience. There are a lot of people that have no problem living there. They can go, and more power to them. But for me, I would give it a pass. That's just me, and so does this guy. Okay. The next place he said Spain, and he lumped in Portugal with Spain. He said it's cold as hell in the winter, and summer is sweltering heat, and the beaches are not particularly beautiful. Okay. Then he goes on and he talks about China. Now, he's talking about mainland China. Okay? He wasn't talking about Hong Kong. Now, if I had a good job, a decent job, would I live in Hong Kong? I would have in the past. No longer. Just because the Chinese government has basically taken control. You can say what you want, but they are basically in control They didn't used to be, and now they are, and for that reason, I wouldn't live there. However, before, I would have probably lived there as long as I had a good a job that I thought would justify being there, that paid enough to justify living there. Because I liked the place. I really liked the place, and I liked the people. You know, so I got nothing to say. But as far as mainland China, my initial response once he brought China up, I was like, ugh. I don't know why somebody would consider China. And he only did this video a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago. 3 weeks ago, something like that. For me, I couldn't handle China. I know what the tourists are like. I know what the people can be like because I've been there a couple of times, as well as to Hong Kong 4 times now. Hong Kongers are much different from the mainlanders. But if I was to live in mainland China, I think it would drive me nuts, really. So I couldn't live there. But he says, another thing again, things you don't know until you go. He's saying something about a river. He did not name the river. He said there's a river, and everyone below the river is not allowed to have heat in their homes. It's super cold inside in the winter, and the north is super flat and super cold. And then in the summer, super hot. Korea, he said, was very cold. Nice people. And then he got to Thailand. And I don't necessarily disagree with what he says here. Okay? He said the one thing that struck him when he first got here was the traffic. Okay. Not everybody has to live in Bangkok. You can live on the outskirts. You can live somewhere, Hue Hin, Chumphon, Prachuap. You can live in Kanchanaburi. You can live in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Phuket, Pattaya. And traffic is far less than what it is in Bangkok. Okay, maybe not so much Phuket, but I mean, it is less in Phuket, but yeah, very super. The traffic is super duper. It's super duper busy traffic. Guys, girls, it's super. The traffic is really super. No, it's not. So that was his first initial response. He said, too many people. I just was saying that. Too much trash, which depends on where you are. See, to me, this reeks of, I've been here for a short period of time, and now I'm going to make a decision, should I live here? Because you can go many places in Thailand where there is virtually no garbage laying all around. I mean, I was just in Kanchanaburi. Bungkan, there's not garbage laying all over the streets, everywhere. That's not how it is. Now, if you go to some places in Bangkok, especially like Klong Tui, then you're going to see garbage everywhere. Okay, let's move on here. Thailand, yeah. Trash. Okay, so too much traffic, too many people, too much trash, too many tourists. It's horrid with tourists. I was writing this down quickly, so it's, more sun-drenched Swedes than there are Thais in Phuket, in a place like Phuket. That's bullshit. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, there are a lot of Europeans in Phuket. They're there to get the sun, or they were. But to say that there's more than there are Thais, that's an exaggeration. And, you know, it's way too negative because I've got the negatives and I also have the positives. And, you know, they still are fairly balanced. Yeah, too much. He said Thailand has lost its authenticity. And you're always going to be a farang here. Now, I got to tell you guys something. If you really want to sound like a bonehead, say farang. It's not farang. It's farang. Farang. Rang. Like sala'a. It's ang, like rang the bell. It's not farang. That's not how you say it. Okay? Definitely quite. That just shows me right there. If you haven't learned that word, then you are not taking an interest in the language. He also says that the language is just too dang difficult, and you look too different. Now, I was just saying yesterday how Jono and myself were discussing about how when he walks down the street, he always feels like all eyes are upon him. And I understand that feeling because just when I was in Kanchanaburi and I was at the train station, all eyes were on me. I'm the only foreigner there. But you know what? You just kind of laugh at it. You just go, yeah, I'm foreigner, yeah. Because if you let it get to you, it will, you know. And I think sometimes Jono's okay with it, he doesn't care. And then there are other times when he, you know, lets it get to him a little bit and it irritates him. And I understand that as well because it can be irritating to have, you're sitting there and you're like, hey, you know what? I take a dump just like you do. Or maybe, you know, I use a seated toilet, a regular Western toilet instead of a squat toilet. Maybe they use a Western toilet as well. Who knows? But, you know, you're basically just people. You're still humans. Although you are different. You may think differently. You probably want the same things. Thank you very much, Soy Dog Cowboy. You are numero uno. You are numero uno fan, and you are the numero uno super chat of the day. Thank you very much. Which, you know what? That segues into the next topic. What did I do with that piece of paper I had? Well, I don't need it because I got my act together, right? Not really, I don't. Let's see here. Let me see something here. Well, I'm going to change it, but down in the description, you will see a number of ways you can contribute to my website. Down below the window, there should be, at least if you're in the West somewhere, the West being like in America or the UK or Australia, you should see the t-shirts down below or to the side or something. There should also be a join button down yonder. You can join and become a member of my channel, a YouTube member, a bona fide member. You know, you just get little tidbits of information that I don't release elsewhere most of the time, which is, you know, kind of cool, I guess, to some people. Let me do something here real quick. I need to make a quick adjustment so that what I'm saying matches up. And I do have to, yesterday, like I said, was my birthday, but I did go with Alex to the studio, and we played a little song. Let me see here if I can get this set up here. Yeah, I should be able to. Okay. One moment, please. There we go. Yes. All right. So what I was going to say is super chats are great. Joining the channel is great. I got to give a shout out to all my Patreon patrons, of course, and the members of my website. But you can also use PayPal or the Cash App or Apple Money. And if you use the Cash App and you use the little description, in the description, you use the little code shown down there. Let's see here. If I see it now, it should have updated. You'll get a $5 bonus, and so will I, just by sending $5 for the first time. If you sign up for the account and you send $5, you'll get $5 just for free. And then I get $5 for free. So it's a pretty good deal. And there are 0 to very little fees associated with PayPal. PayPal has some fees, but not as much as YouTube. The Cash App and Apple Money, they're all very good. What does this say? Suksan One Good. Oh, thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. I almost feel a little guilty because it's not really my birthday until Thursday, but since the wife she's already left, we celebrated the birthday already. Now, I'm going to celebrate with my kids by probably watching some TV and having a good meal or something, and that's it. You know, no more cake or any of that stuff, but that's enough. I don't need to be reminded how old I am for very long. You should go to Karat and Livestream. I would watch that for sure. Okay, well, I should do a lot of things. You know, you guys want me to go somewhere. I understand. I can't go everywhere. I only have a limited source of funds, and you know, what's TMI? That's an adjustment for an older guy. What is this? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a little lost now. Anyway, let me get back to this because, you know, I don't want to get too off course here. We were talking about China, Korea, Thailand, and then he goes on. Let me see here. He goes on to say he lived in. He's a young guy. I don't know, you know, what he's been doing all his life, or you know, he's been teaching English. I don't really know what this guy's been doing. But anyway, he's also talking about Italy as a place to live. He said spectacular beaches, legit pizza. But he thinks, just like Thailand, it's a sellout. Now, I will say something. Like, when it comes to Muay Thai, I think in a way, I don't know if I would consider them selling out or selling out their culture. Or would I call them pragmatic and, opportunists? Pragmatic opportunists. I might categorize them as pragmatic opportunists as opposed to sellouts. Because, you know, let's see here. Where was it? Let me go on. Let's go on here. When it comes to the whole authenticity thing, I just said that the other day. So, you know, he's not far off when it comes to this thing. But, you know, to say, I'm not going to live in Thailand because it's not as authentic as it used to be. I think that's a bit much. I do think that's a bit much. I mean, you know, what do you want? You want some Western conveniences? Do you want some, to live in a place that's semi-modern? Or, you know, what is it? You know? Yeah, you know what? I didn't even know what the fights were. Honestly, I feel a little bit guilty for not at least checking out any results. You know, I saw some, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or whatever, but let me see something. I'm looking for one thing in particular. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, well, hang on a second. I got to finish this one up here. Okay, so, you know, he's talking about this, and he said that if you go to the small towns, they're rather depressing because it's full of old people. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Could I say that about Thailand? No. I mean, where do you think a lot of the girls come from that come to Bangkok? The young people, not only girls, but women as well. You know, they come from they all come to the bigger cities, and a lot of them come to Bangkok. Some of them go to Chiang Mai, some go to Chiang Rai, some go to Pattaya, some go to Phuket, whatever. Hua Hin, they go to the Kanchanaburi even. But you know, they're going to where the money is, and sometimes there is no money where they're living. So that's why they. So to say that in Thailand, it's all old people, that wouldn't be true, because even though there are people coming from these smaller villages and little towns, there's still plenty of women there, and there are plenty of younger people. So, you know, I don't know about Italy. Then he goes on to talk about India. He says it's super cutthroat there, and could you assimilate there? Could you ever, like, for example, find love with an Indian woman there when a lot of the marriages, most of the marriages are arranged, something like that. He said it seems very difficult. Now, I don't know because I haven't been to India. And while I would like to go there, it's not at the top of my list, you know. I had thought about going there, and I actually had a ticket to go there, and then I had my hip replacement surgery, and the doctor said, it's too soon. I would not be walking around if I were you. Ooh, that thought of that, walking around on that hip just after surgery, just flashed in my head. So, you know, these are some of the reasons, but he did say that he chose Ecuador because of the weather. Did he say anything about the weather for Thailand? Let me see here. No, he didn't say a word. He didn't say anything about the weather there, okay? He said that the weather in Ecuador is mild and steady, and it's warm, but it's fairly constant. The cost of living is cheap, which, you know, what's cheap? What constitutes cheap? Is it cheap or is it cheaper? Thailand is cheaper in many ways. It's also more expensive in some ways. In some ways. I'm not saying many. And I think people get fooled. It used to fool people a lot. And Thailand is the kind of place that you get nickeled and dimed to death. I'm not saying intentionally. But you start, especially if you come here as a tourist, I'm going to spend, let me just spend 100 baht here, 300 baht there. The next thing you know, you spent 150 bucks for the day. And you're like, oh, this place is so inexpensive. Now, 150 bucks might not be much to you when you're traveling here as a tourist. But if you're coming here and you're living here, 150 bucks a day is a fair amount to be going through, you know, if you're on a budget. Or you've got a family. Now, what else did he say here? Single life in Ecuador is very good. I don't dispute that. I've heard that from many people. I've heard the women are excellent. They're lovely. And the language is, he does say that the language, remember this, he said that the language, now here, this is what kind of got me. He said that the language, where's it at here? They're more connected to the world in Ecuador. Now, they are on the dollar. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. He said where it's very diverse and you can blend in. Spanish is a learnable language if you apply yourself. Well, I hate to tell you this. I disagree with that. But because Thai is a learnable language, if you apply yourself, if you don't want to apply yourself and you're lazy, you're not going to learn it. It's simple. Soy Dog Cowboy, he speaks the language, you know, decently, and he's applied himself. And he's not even here. I mean, he's been here, I don't know how many times, but he spent some considerable time here. You know, he hasn't been here for just a month or two, but he spent some time here, and it does take time to learn a language. And, you know, I've got friends that have been here for, how long is the guy from New York? He's been here 26 plus years, almost 27 years. He speaks Trong Pai, Lil Sai, Lil Kwa, Tao Rai. That's about it. That's it. He's been here almost 30 years. He's been 26, 27 years, something like that. I got another buddy, Scott. His name is Scott also, who lives here, and he speaks Thai fairly well. But, you know, he likes to speak it in Tinglish, which personally I don't like to get into that habit because it is habit forming. You know, to speak a cross of Thai and English. And sometimes I hear my wife doing that. It drives me nuts, you know. But anyway, he's saying this about the language in Ecuador. Excuse me. This is the thing. If you're motivated to learn a language, you will learn it. If you're immersed in it for quite some time, you will learn it. I mean, I've been here for a long time. It's like a lot of times I'm like, my language skills are probably intermediate. But I have no problem getting by. None at all. And would I take more classes? Yes. Eventually, I do plan on it. But, you know, all in good time. Been saying it for a while. I want to take more classes. I'd like to at least get through a high school level of speaking and reading and writing Thai. I mean, I can read Thai, I can speak Thai, and I can write a little bit in Thai, but my writing needs quite a bit of work. But anyway, the whole thing of language is if you apply yourself. If you're motivated, if you apply yourself, if you feel like putting in the work, you'll probably at least learn the language well enough to get by and to be able to live in a place. Now, so he doesn't want to apply himself in Thailand because he thinks it's too difficult to learn the language. So for that, you know, for some of the things that he said here, I agree with him, like the traffic and the number of people. The trash, I don't really. I mean, I can go down the street and there's trash everywhere. I can go down to the park to the left, and there's no trash in the neighborhood. You're not going to see any trash. So, depends on where you are. I mean, the same could be said for the United States. Now, he did say this, and I got to agree with him. I don't know so much about the Middle East. But he said in the Middle East and Asia, which is funny, he didn't bring up any Middle Eastern countries when he was talking about this. In the Middle East and Asia, they want foreigners to come, but they also, and spend money, but they want you to leave. Now, I could also go further with that statement and just say, most of the people, they don't give a rat's ass if you're here or not. They like it when you hear it because it means more money to their economy, to their businesses, especially the tourist industry. Of course they like it. But most people, like as far as you being a foreigner from a certain place, most of the time they don't give a rat's ass unless you are like the Chinese and you are constantly making problems. Or you're rude in certain areas, in tourist areas where you should not be, like at temples. You know, if you're doing something on a temple or on a castle or something. But foreigners do this stuff too. And I think that's why, you know, listen, the tourist industry in Thailand has progressed to the point where, you know, we have to admit that there are at least some Thais who have become jaded in the tourist industry. Not all. And like Gennaro says, because Farang have money too much, he rich, he very rich, he have money too much. I don't really hear him say he rich. Or sometimes they'll say, he rich man, something like that. But they do say money too much, you know. But that's bar girl talk, honestly. You know, bar girl or fairly uneducated Thai, that's the way they speak. If you run into a Thai who has an education, like a good education, comes from a upper middle class to upper middle class or family, the ones that are high so are probably not going to be talking to you unless you really have been here and you're immersed in the culture. Sorry, but that's the way it is. You know, just because you see some girl and she's driving a nice car doesn't mean she's high so. But you know, they don't generally speak. I don't even hear, you know, he's my T-Rock. You know, oh T-Rock, oh. That's like bar girls say that. My wife has never called me T-Rock. Even in the very beginning when, you know, like you're in the honeymoon phase. Never. She would never. She goes, oh, God. You know. But that's not to say that some don't. They do. But for the most part, that's, you know, that kind of speak is not what you would call normal. You know, they're not outwardly expressive, especially in public. Anyway, let me go on here. We're getting sidetracked here. Now, these other people that are in Ecuador, they talked about Mexico, and they said the places they were looking were too touristy, crime was too high and was increasing. They did not trust the politics between Mexico and the United States. And overall, the overall feel was, their gut feeling was, no, we don't want to live there. The last thing that you want to deal with when you're, especially when you're a little older, when you're younger, you may not care about it as much because you You may think, you still might think you're invincible. You're not going to have these kind of problems. You can handle yourself and all these kind of things. The last thing you really want is to worry about getting rolled, getting jumped, getting mugged all the time. You don't want to have to worry about that stuff. That's one thing. At the moment, I don't generally have to worry about going down the street and getting beat up by a bunch of Thais for absolutely no reason. Now, if I mouthed off and said bad things about certain things, certain subjects, you go looking for it, you're going to find it. They're not scared to beat you up if you deserve it. And, the law aside, what do you expect? A lot of places, that's just how things are done. So, with regards to Mexico, I do understand, and I don't know, but I would want to live there, at least long term. They also checked out Panama, and here's something I didn't know, because I had thought about this, and again, I haven't been there, so I never said to myself, that's a place I've got to go and move. I'm going to have to go there. It's Costa Rica. Costa Rica and Panama, they said that they knew two couples who left because of the heavy rain and the constant, unforgiving humidity. Now, I can relate to the humidity and to the rain to a much lesser extent, I guess. Also, New Zealand and Australia, but apparently they prefer younger people like 30 and under because younger people with specific skills, they're looking for people to enhance their country, not just financially, but also to make their country better. Like if you're a doctor or something and you want to immigrate there, I'm sure it's much easier than if you're just some guy who's 35 years old, 50 years old, and you got very little money, or you have barely enough money. I think they would prefer to have the people who are going to contribute to the society, which, that's understandable. Yeah, now, here's the thing. As Gennaro says, you have little to no rights. Now, one thing that people forget, and I have just started thinking this lately, you may not think so, but there's no place like home. Not to sound cliche, but there really is no place like home. I'm an American. I know that if I go to America, I'm guaranteed or semi-guaranteed certain rights. I know there are certain things, or at least I've known when I was living there. I don't know about how it is now because I haven't lived there in a long time. That I could expect certain things from the government. I could expect certain things to happen if something happened against me. I could expect repercussions. There are consequences to actions. I don't know that those are the same now. However, like I said, when I was living there, and also you have a safety net. So if you need unemployment insurance, and you're working in the United States, you're going to get it most of the time if you qualify, as long as you qualify, But the same goes for elsewhere. If, you're from Oz or you're from Sweden or you're from France or whatever, you have certain things that when you go to another country, you're not going to get. And as people say in Thailand, but it's not only in Thailand, it's everywhere. You are not one of the tribe, and as much as you think you fit in, you don't. Why, if people fit in so well in the United States, why are people so divided, even if it is a diverse country? Why? Because people don't want to most of the time. Sure, you have people that are interacting with each other. You have, people from different countries that live in the same areas and everything. But look at, there's Chinatown. There's Little Puerto Rico. There's this, there's that. There's all these different areas. Little Korea, Little Japan. They always have these places. Because these people want to stick together. You got little areas in Southern California that are only inhabited by, Mexicans. And, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's something to think about. It's not just about the news. I mean, it's always been like that. Little Italy. You have all these things. So, when you go to a different country, you are not one of them. You may fit in, but once they find out you know, you may be in a place where you just look like everybody else, which the guy does say in Ecuador you fit in much easier than, say, in Thailand, which I agree with. That's true, right? And in Thailand, you will never be Thai. You will never be Thai. They will say to you, oh, now you live Thailand a long time. You are same Thai people. Okay. On a superficial level, yes, you will be. You will always be, a foreigner, though, when it comes to a deeper level. When it comes to choosing between, let's say that all things are equal. Who am I going to buy from, the Thai or from you? I would say at least 80% of the time, I'm going to use the 80-20 rule again. They're going to choose the Thai. They're going to choose their own somebody from their own country. You know, so that's something else to think about. Now, they also brought up Puerto Rico, which they said is more America-like, which they liked. They really liked the place. But they said that the hurricanes the constant hurricanes made them nervous, and they decided not to go with Puerto Rico. Okay. Uruguay, apparently, like I said, I think yesterday or day before, or whenever it was, that marijuana is legal there. And this particular guy had some issue where he got off pain medicine, and he went and used edibles to make himself feel better, and to take away some of the aggravating pain. But then slowly but surely he got better, and he didn't need it. So really, that was not much of a factor, and it's fairly distant from the United States. So it's not as easy just to jump on a plane and be there in a couple of hours, like for, say, Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or something like that. Then he also brought up Colombia, or he and his wife brought up Colombia, and they said that the reason they didn't move there is because, I guess they hadn't gone there, but they believed all the stereotypes. And I'll be honest, I try to rid myself of those stereotypes before I even take off. And, some of them you can, and some of them it's very difficult. But, one thing I always remember is, hey, this place is great. It's fantastic. It can be so nice until something pops off in a split second, and then it's not. And the same goes for, say, Colombia, Medellin in Colombia. It goes for Bangkok. It goes for anywhere. Things can pop off really quick, and boom, all of a sudden, this paradise is someplace where it's brutal, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Now, something to talk about that I didn't bring up. There is another protest here scheduled for October 14th, I guess, near the Grand Palace. That's the day before my birthday. That's on Wednesday, and I won't be there. I won't be covering that. But, nevertheless, if you're here, I would stay away from there. Unless you feel like getting caught up in the midst of it. Because, again, you never know when something will pop off. Fortunately, nothing has really popped off lately here with regards to the protest. Nothing really serious, but you never know, So, pays to be safe. Now, I was thinking of some of the reasons that Thailand was a good place to live, at least before, and I'm not speaking of right now. I'm speaking the normal Thailand, the Thailand, why is this not charging? Oh, you know what? Let me, before I get into this here, I talked about how I was going to the studio yesterday with Alex. This is a personal thing. This is about me, not about the subject. But let's see if I can get this thing to work here. Hang on one second. Let me see. How do you do this here? Why is it not working? Oh, that is the video. Okay, so what is it? Media source. Okay, so. Oops. Man, you know what? I have not been using the OBS studio. I've not been using it lately. I've just been using my phone and streaming straight from my phone. So I've forgotten a lot of what to do here. But let me see if this works.
Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I said, it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. It's alright. It's alright. There it is. Thank you very much, and I hope I passed the audition.
There we go. All right. That's me having a little fun in the studio with Alex. Hopefully you can hear that. That's my not so lovely voice. I had to give it a little go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up, Gennaro. There is a bit of a lag here. Yeah, my voice isn't terrible, but it's not great either. And that's the first time I've sang. And, one thing I forgot about is that if you try to sing a song and you just sing like one little verse, it's not all that hard. But you try to sing the whole song, it's a lot harder. And that's a pretty easy song, really, to sing and to play, So, well, I tried, but, that's, like I said, I think that was like the third time. That we tried 3 times, and one of them was pretty good, actually. I thought was pretty good, but then there was the, what is it that he sings? Sun, 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 here we come, or whatever. And I was off key. I was like, man, I don't know. I can't hit that high note. I can't get any higher. And so I didn't sing it that way, and I had to try it again a couple times. But, well, it's not like I'm making a lot of money from these videos. I mean, honestly, the most of the money comes from the Super Chats and the CASHAPPs and the PayPal and all that stuff. It doesn't come from the advertising. So if they, they nail me for it, what am I going to do? I knew, I figured, listen, if the whole thing is it's only me, Alex, and Yod, his instructor. And I do have more footage, and I'll probably put it up in the Patreon or whatever, or the membership for YouTube. I'll probably put it up at some point in the next day or two. And you'll see, I mean, I did put the part where I'm like trying to hit the high note, and I'm like, nah, I can't hit that. It's too much, And I have a sore throat right now, actually, too. I'm not just saying that, but I do. I've noticed it, and I'm like, that kind of sucks to go in there, because, they were like, oh, you have to come in and sing. And I was like, no, Alex is going to, I even said yesterday, Alex is singing. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, no, I'm not singing. That's why you're here. You're here to sing. And I was like, ugh. Now, next week, we're trying to get Nicholas to come in and play on the keyboard, because Nicholas has gotten pretty good. And he's actually playing guitar also now, so, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, it's all in good fun. That's the whole thing. I'm not trying to do anything with it, and we're just having fun. So hopefully YouTube takes that into consideration. Now, I was thinking about the reasons for people to live in Thailand. The top 10 reasons that I just thought of. And this is a little, I gave about 5 minutes of thought to this, so if I left anything out, forgive me, please. The first is that the cost of living, while I say it's cheaper, and it's, not necessarily cheap, the cost of living is more affordable than in many places in the United States. I'm not talking about living in Podunk, Iowa, or in the middle of Montana or something like that, where the prices might be, the same or less. But all in all, because of the affordability here and what you get, like for a small house or for a meal, these kind of things are, I think, a little bit cheaper here than in the United States. Transportation, public transportation. That's another. The third is food. The food is a big reason. What is going on with this freaking thing? I got this. There we go. Maybe that'll work. I got this charger where there we go. You put your phone on it and it charges it, and it's not working. Yes, same with Florida. There are places in Florida that are very reasonable, and there are places that are quite expensive. So it really depends on where you live. But all in all, especially if you're living out in some village somewhere, like if I was living in Sortani, out in a village, like where my wife comes from, the overall cost would be quite a bit less than in the United States. And it'd be a little bit less than living here in Bangkok. So that's one. Two is the transportation, the public transportation. If you're in, not only in Thailand, but not only in Bangkok, but anywhere, because you can always catch a bus, a songtao, get somebody in a car to give you a ride or whatever. You throw them a little money and boom. So you can trains. The flights are fairly inexpensive, so there are ways to get around that in the United States, you may need a car for sure. And in some places, some other countries, it's the same way. If you don't have a car, you're not getting around. And most places in Thailand, you can always find a way to get where you need to go. And again, not necessarily cheaply for a cheap price, but cheaper than you might pay back wherever you're from. And in some cases, quite cheap. You go on a third-class train or a second-class train, your prices are very, very reasonable for the distance that you're covering. So that's another thing to contemplate, is the ease of transportation and the public transportation, like the SkyTrain, the subway, the boats. All these things factor in. I said food. Food is, if you like Asian food or Thai food, then this is a great place for you. Jono doesn't, I use him as an example now because he's still here, while there's a lot of others that are not here, or they'll be back or whatever. But he doesn't particularly like going to out to eat at little, hole-in-the-wall restaurants. And I understand, and for the most part, I just go, because I figure if I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get sick. He doesn't exactly think that way, and I understand, because I have got food poisoning here, but really, in the whole time I've been here, probably not more than about 3 times. Maybe 4 or 5. But this is in 25 years. That's not all that many times. And all the places that I've gone to eat over the years around the country, says a lot. Generally, if you haven't been here for a lengthy time, like for me, and even for me, there is usually enough to do to keep you busy. Listen, if it came down to it, I could always go for a boat ride. I could go have a cup of coffee at some other coffee shops, someplace, just to get out, just to go see a little bit of the city or something like that. There are things to do here. There are mountains. There are, there's rivers. There's lakes. There's the ocean. There's this. There's that. There's plenty to do. Which brings me to number 5, which is the biodiversity and the beauty of nature. There are some beautiful places here. We already know that. We've seen a few of them on my channel, on YouTube, in person. I'm sure there are people here who have been to some beautiful places here. But there are plenty of beautiful places to see. And there are also plenty of beautiful people to see, that stemming from wherever you may go, be it the nightlife scene, which is number 6, is the nightlife. If you're a single guy, Bangkok's a great place to be, especially if you're single and you got a bit of money. Now, if you got, you know, if you're living off a pension and you got, you know, you're pulling in 100 G's a year here, 100,000 US here, 200,000 US here, you could, you know, you can party every day, all day long if you watch your money and you're careful with it, depending on how you live and everything. I mean, I know guys who have pissed through quite a bit of money. You would have never thought they could, but they did. Yeah. Ungodly amounts of money that people have pissed away. And then also the people. So this is, you got cost of living, transportation, food, the amount of things to do, the nightlife, and the biodiversity, and the people. So that's 7. Now, the other thing that people don't really think about is that just about anything that you want, you can get here. You can just go to it may not be at this mall, but you can go to another mall. And that mall might only take 45 minutes to get to. So it's not, you know, it's an hour to get to, an hour and a half to get to, whatever. It's not that much different than, say, in the United States. Oh, God, Longhorns. Terrible, man. You are terrible. So, yeah, if you want to get something, it's fairly easy to get. Now, the one negative might be that sometimes when you're trying to get things that are ordered from overseas, you know, you're going to have to pay duties and, you know, customs and duties charges. But not always. I mean, I haven't had to pay for a while, but then there was the time that my mother sent a box of clothes for my kids. And some of them were used. They were like, I don't know if they were mine or what the deal was. I think, it wasn't even that they were used. They were just, they were little things like towels and like little baby clothes. And we had to pay duties on them. I was very surprised. What it was is that they weren't all that expensive. I think it was $100 worth of stuff. But if it's over like $50 worth of stuff, they start charging you. You're going to have to start paying duties on almost everything. So that's part of the negative. But you can get just about any. You want tequila, you want a particular coffee maker. The other thing is you might not get the exact same model, but you'll get a similar model, but it's a different model number or whatever, and that's because of the different voltage and, you know. I blew out for whatever reason. I thought it was the same number of amps and everything, the coffee maker I had from the United States, and I plugged it in and it shorted the thing out, and then it never worked. And I was like, what am I doing? All right, so number 9 is the healthcare. As much as I might bitch and moan about some of the healthcare here, all in all, the healthcare is quite good, modern, and the doctors, many of them are Western trained, or they've had some training here, some training overseas. So, you know, they're quite good, and the cost is generally much more reasonable than, say, in the United States, where it might be 3-4 times more, you know. Yo, you gonna finish that? I don't know. Where else are we here? Let's see here. Okay, another positive, last and but not least, is that assuming you keep your mouth shut and you're not the kind of person who goes looking for trouble, the crime rate here is relatively low, and the crimes are generally petty. Now, you hear about the danger in certain islands, and you hear about the traffic and the danger being on the road and all those kind of things, but all in all, it's a fairly safe place. I don't have to worry about walking outside and getting shot in the head in some drive-by. That just, you rarely hear about anything like that. I went to Bangkok General, and they had a guy from the UK that was the doctor there. He had went through everything. He spoke perfect Thai, you know. So, I mean, if you need something specific, you can find it. You might have to look a little bit. But you might be able to find certain things much easier than you'll find in the United States. So, all in all, those are the top 10 for me. Nightlife includes women, so let's just bypass the whole, hey, you forgot the girls. No, I didn't forget. So let's just go over those real quick again. Cost of living, public transportation or transportation in general, food, the amount of things to do, the biodiversity and the beauty of the place, the people, the nightlife, the ability to get just about anything from your own country that you want, the healthcare system, and the low crime rate. Those are the 10. Now, I thought just real quick about the negatives. Again, very quickly, I just went over this in my head. I always say the traffic, pollution, and I didn't think about something else, but the time zone. For me, I'm an American, so when I want to call, what is it right now? 10:19. Okay. It's 8:19 back on the West Coast, and it's 11:19 on the East Coast at night on, what's today, Monday? Sunday night. So, sometimes that can be a bit of a problem, especially if you need to call like your bank, you need to call some government institution or whatever. It can be a bit of a pain in the neck. So pollution, traffic, the difference of time zones, thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Good luck for you. Chok di kun Moore. Kun Stephen. Chok di kun Stephen. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see here. What was I saying? The government. Sorry. In most people's view, the government is somewhat unpredictable. And I'm talking about with regards to foreigners. And then the next one is there is some political instability, although it has been fairly stable for the past, 5 years or so. And then something that people don't really think about all that much, but that, it's always there, but it is increasing in my opinion, and that is the xenophobia, and the COVID has contributed to that, I think, quite a bit, because, people are like, oh, did you just come in? Where are you from? How long have you been here? Did you bring the COVID? Have you been quarantined? I think, people have to consider that. So those are 10 things. Those are 10 positives, and how many negatives? The other one that I didn't say is that if you're living not so much in the UK, but like the United States, Canada, South America, and I guess to many places in Europe and say Australia, it is a bit of a hike. To just run back home. It's not like you can just jump on a jet and you're back in, a couple of hours. It's not like, going to, say, Cambodia or something like that, where, like, if you're in Europe or you're in the United States, maybe you can just go, like, to Costa Rica. How far is Costa Rica? Let me see here. Costa Rica from Florida. I think it's 3 hours or something. 2 hours and 50 minutes, okay? So that's pretty close. Whereas if you're going to, if I'm flying back from Thailand to Miami, that could be a 24-hour journey. It's not something that you want. It's not a trip you want to be taking all the time. Let me see something here. Ugh. I don't want to be specific because people might think I spend a lot of time there, Longhorns. What? Queenland passed Soy 13 on the way to Walking Street? Let's see here. Let me see something here. Let me looky. I'll never forget the one Chinese girl that I met in Malaysia, and she saw me with a camera around my neck, and she was saying to me, "You clack clack, you clack clack," and she kept looking at me, going, "You clack clack, you clack clack," and I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, you clack clack, hey Mita, you clack clack." Oh man, I couldn't stop laughing. You got to get used to that kind of stuff, and that's part of the humor of living here. There is a humorous side to living here also. I guess I should include that. There is a dark side, but there is a humorous side. So I think that's something that people forget. You know, I mean, just the other day I'm standing there in front of the escalator, and well, I wasn't standing there. I was walking over to the escalator, and there was a guy and his wife and like 3 kids standing right in front of the escalator. And I thought, oh, that's it. You know, the big thing over time, you kind of learn that there are a number of Thais who seem to make decisions right in front of the escalator where they block the escalator. And this guy was blocking the escalator, and to his credit, as I was walking up, he told his whole family, move over. But a lot of times, they just stand there, and you're like, hey, can you move? Can you, get out of the way? Make your decision to the side of the escalator. That's kind of like one of those things that you see that you kind of, you can only laugh about. Or you see some guy who's got his entire family of, his wife and 4 kids, and a propane tank and a couple of chickens, and he's driving down the street on a motorbike. Like a little 110cc motorbike. Those kind of things. So there is something to be said for the humorous side of living here. And I have to remember that myself sometime. It's all, like I say, it's all about perspective. Yes, you have to keep a sense of humor. It sure beats the alternative, which is being miserable all the time. Which, while, sometimes I know I may come off and, I try to be honest with myself and also honest with people who watch. There are negatives to living here, and there are positives. This is not a perfect place, just like Tahiti, Bora Bora, or any other place you might think is paradise, and it's just like a relationship. Our relationship is absolutely perfect. We don't have any problems between us. We think alike. We never have any issues. We love each other 100%. Okay, you love each other, but you're bound to have little disputes here and there. Even if it's something as simple as, honey, could you please put the cap on the toothpaste? Could you put it back on? Something like that. It happens. And it happens with countries as well. Living in a country is the same as having a relationship with the country. So, there it is there. So, wow, we're at 90 minutes already. Time has flown by. I guess that's what happens when you prepare a little bit. So I'm anxious to know where a lot of you would consider living besides Thailand. Would you consider living in Myanmar or Cambodia or the Philippines? Would you consider living in those places? Costa Rica, Mexico. I'm curious to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, well, I mean, I listen to, we were talking about that yesterday in the music studio. like we were talking about the Beatles, and did I ever watch the Beatles on TV? Did I go see them live? And blah blah blah. Costa Rica, yeah, okay, so there's one. It might take some getting used to in contrast to Thailand, but and one thing that these people that I was talking about earlier, what they said was, "Hey, Jono, what's happening? Good to see you." What was I saying? You distracted me, though, because I'm like, oh, Jono's here. The one and only. Costa Rica apparently rains like 6 months out of the year. And from what they said, it's not, like rains for like an hour and then it stops like in Thailand. Or here, lately it's been a little bit different where it's been like a fine rain or light rain, but it's constant. There, supposedly, it's very, 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 very heavy, and it doesn't stop. Vietnam, okay, yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, Vietnam is, I really like Vietnam. I said that yesterday. I don't know about living there, though. I think it would take me personally some time getting used to the place long term. I was there, I forget how many days it was, 9 days or something like that, 10 days, I don't remember, but I went all down the coast, and I loved that trip. That was a great time. Albania, maybe. I'd like to visit there, I guess. For me, the African continent, there are a number of countries I'd like to visit there. As far as Southeast Asia goes, I've been to pretty much everywhere that I want to go. Tibet, Bhutan, okay, yeah, I'd like to go there. In South America, I'd like to go and just take a trip up or down the Amazon, I guess, whichever way you got to go. That's another one. But I don't know that I could live, in South America, really. Maybe Argentina. I don't know. I haven't been there, so I don't know. Same with Costa Rica. I haven't been there. I don't know. Costa Rica, Uruguay, Australia, and the U.S. split time between Wyoming and Texas. Ooh. Wyoming and Texas. I don't know. I personally, just because I grew up in Florida, I would like to be in Florida. Thailand, okay, I understand Thailand. I can understand. For all the negatives, like I say, I'm not trying to be negative about any one particular place. I'm just pointing out there are positives and negatives. And in Thailand, there are negatives. And in Ecuador, there are negatives. In Ecuador, there are negatives. In Colombia, there's negatives, but there's also positives. There's also positives in a lot of places. So that's why I always say, Thailand's not the only place. For me, my wife is from here. My kids are used to this place. It's not to say they couldn't adjust if they went somewhere else. But, Nicaragua, been there. I liked it, but and I wasn't really scared, but I didn't like it all that much. Malaysia, no thanks. I just don't want to live there. I just don't want to live there. And Myanmar, I like Myanmar a lot. Maybe if I was like married to a Burmese girl or something like that, and I had a family or something. But you don't really see a lot of expats that live there, that are like married to a Burmese woman. You just don't see that there. I have only seen maybe 2 couples in the entire time that I've been there. Planning my exit from the U.S., the list got short quickly, largely because I never traveled to all but one listed country, Thailand. There wasn't any way I could visit all the listed places. Yeah, that's another problem. And I think if you're going to make a decision on where to live, I've heard that, you really want to go to that, at least go to the top place on your list. So, Jono, you were married to a Thai, and you've been here, so obviously that you've been to the place, you know about it, you liked it, so that's why you're here. But, if somebody can go to, say, 3 places, if they really want their top 3 or top 5 or whatever, whether they can afford it time-wise, financially, whatever it might be, if you're going to move somewhere, you damn sure better visit the place first. Get all you can while you are young, Gennaro. Yeah, exactly. Well, the sex, you want to try to get as much as you can until you can't anymore. Travel, for me, when it comes to travel, I like to travel, but at this point, it used to be if somebody just gave me a ticket and said, you want to go there? I'd be like, yeah, okay. Where am I going? That kind of attitude. I don't have that same attitude now. If I want to go somewhere now, I really need to have a reason to go. And like I said yesterday, and I said to Manaj, I don't know when it was, 2-3 days ago, going to Kanchanaburi, I've been there many times. Now, I kind of went for the channel. I went to get away from Bangkok for a couple of days, just to get away and, get out of the house, get out of the normalcy of going to the mall and doing this and doing that. Okay, great. But, I didn't go there because I was dying to go there. Like, I know it sounds foolish or to some or crazy or whatever you want to call it, but there are places in Africa that I really, really would like to go. Before I die, I want to go there. And may I die there? Well, I mean, you could die anywhere. There are other places I want to go that are far safer. I mean, like Switzerland, Luxembourg. Although I've been to Belgium, I'd like to spend more time there. I haven't been to the Netherlands in, I don't know how many years, 10 years, something like that. I'd like to go back. I wanted to visit Costa Rica and Panama, just didn't have the time or funds, so Thailand was really the only choice. I don't think you made a bad choice. However, I would, at this point, especially with the COVID and the current status of the policies implemented by the government here, by Thai immigration, I would think twice about it. If you want to relocate and move here, especially if you're just some young guy who's like, I'm gonna, like the guy yesterday, I don't remember what his name, Andrew something, he, I love Thailand so much, and he's been here 3 years, but, he's in Vietnam, and I don't know, but he's been here the entire 3 years, or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but, you still got that newbie mentality. Now, Jono, you've been married to a Thai, and you come here and visited, so, if you really wanted, you could include some of that in the time that you've been here, but, you know a fair amount about this place. Not that he doesn't, but I think he's a bit younger. So his mentality is like, wow, his eyes are wide open. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And when you get a little bit older, you start to really see things a little bit differently. You start to see the potential issues there might be in the future. And then you start to appreciate some of the good things also, I mean, one thing I was saying, Jono, the one positive about Thailand is you can get pretty much anything you want here. Whether you have to ship it, have it shipped in through Amazon or Lazada or whatever, or whether you just got to go to a specialty store here, or get something that is not maybe the same brand, but you can, it'll do the job. You can pretty much get anything you want. It's not like certain places, like I don't know, but like maybe in Uruguay, you're going to have a tough time getting some products from the United States. In Ecuador, I do know that there are some of the electronics and other products there are quite difficult and quite expensive to get in the country. So that's something else to think about. What's not all Mexico? Not all of Mexico is dangerous, but again, like I say, it can get dangerous, at the drop of a hat. and Europe, Wales and Poland. Wales. I'm interested. How was Wales? Only thing I think about in Wales is Joe Calzaghe, the boxer, and I also think about rain and their accent, and I think it's probably a lovely place, but again, like Ireland, the weather might be a bit of a downer, kind of like living in Seattle, you know, raining all the time, that kind of thing. Which, you know, when you look at Costa Rica and you listen to these people that I said they were talked about, saying they left because there was too much rain. It was raining like 6 months out of the year. I mean, you know, you got to kind of expect that. It is a tropical environment, you know, so it's a bit different. And, you know, Thailand rains, but their rain is different. It's not the same as in, you know, some places. It's quite a bit different. Most of the time it doesn't rain for all that long. Anyway. Well, I think, wasn't Ireland on that list yesterday of one of the top countries in the world? Let's see. What was the name of that? What was I looking at? Con Nast. Let's see here. The bests. I think it was like number, I don't know what it was. Number 9 or something. Number 6. Top countries. Here we go. Well, they just they passed it up here. Top countries. All right. Now, obviously, this is a reader's choice. No, Ireland was not in. Oh, yeah, Ireland was. It was number 11. Behind Mexico. Now, I don't know about that. Would I rather live in Mexico or rather live in Ireland? If you live in Ireland, maybe it's safer and, you know, it's a great place to live. Everything's modern, fairly modern. Compared to Mexico, it's modern for sure, very modern. Mexico is more dangerous. So, you know, what are you going to do? Where are you going to choose? They got Vietnam ahead of Ireland. And I don't know if it, you know. When it's cloudy for 5 days, it's great to see the sun again. Here comes the sun. Yes. Yes. Here comes the sun. Do. You like to smoke and drink, and I am Irish. Well. Yeah, that is a bit of an issue with me because I might find myself, listen, when I went over there, I was, actually, I went over there with a buddy, and I didn't go to the bars. And the one time that I didn't go over, I went with him once, and I think I was passing through once, and I went another time, and I actually met a girl that I had met in the United States, and she let me stay at her house with her family. It was very, very cool of her. She was lovely girl, and very nice. Sally was her name. I still remember all these years. And her father owned a plumbing company. Real nice chick, real nice family. Her and her brothers took me out to a pub, and I went pub hopping. I came back to her place. I was smashed. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to leave at like 6 to go and catch a flight to go to the Netherlands. So, you know, I think I would be into pubs quite a bit. I was in the pubs in the Netherlands. I was in the pubs in Belgium. I was in the pubs in London. So I'd rather visit Ireland but live in Mexico. Yeah, I don't know because I haven't been to Ireland. The weather might wear on me. I may not like it. I don't know. I don't know what the transportation system is like there. I can't imagine it being fantastic there because some of the places, I just don't think they have it. I don't know. You know, again, I'm speaking without really knowing what the truth is. Don't believe Con Nast. Exactly. Listen, I'm just saying this is their reader's choice. I'm a conduit. All I'm doing is giving you the information. You know, they got, what is the place here? They got Portugal above Thailand. And, you know, they've got Indonesia above Thailand. And, you know, I'm sure that some people would like to debate that. But this is a reader's choice that we were looking at. But, yeah, Ireland is a place I'd like to go. I don't know if I'd want to live there. I don't know. You know, that's the thing. You know, I went to France for the Cannes Film Festival. I've talked about this before. I went there. That was about 20 years ago. 22 years ago, something like that. And, you know, I kept thinking to myself, could I live here? Well, it was a beautiful place. I was like, man, this place is awesome. And I really liked it. Once I started thinking about the money, though, I was like, man, you know, I'm going to need $4 or $5 grand just to live okay. That was the number that I came up with. That was as a single man with a wife, a girlfriend, soon to be my wife. And, you know, of course, if you have kids, it's going to be even more. So I kind of figured, man, that's a bit pricey. It's not like an inexpensive place. This is the thing. I think Tina Turner lives in Switzerland. She lives there because she has the cash. And she's not a citizen. She wasn't a citizen, but she is now, apparently. But she went there, married a guy, moved there, lives there. She's got the money to live there very comfortably. Somebody like me, if I took my family to Switzerland, we'd be on the street. I mean, you know. But Thailand, yes, Thailand is a good choice for those who are on a budget. And, you know, the places that I mentioned today, some of them that this guy has went to. I mean, Mexico, yeah, okay, you can get by on a budget there. Ecuador, for sure. The man and woman that I'm talking about in Ecuador, let me see if I can, I'm going to put these links up. I don't usually promote other people's channels all that much, you know, that I don't know. But I'm going to put these people, their channel up. This guy's name is JP, and his wife, I guess, is Amelia. And they live in Ecuador. That's the top 10 reasons why we chose Ecuador to live. And then this is the other guy. Now, this guy, you know, I think he makes some assumptions that maybe are a bit of a stretch, but nevertheless, this guy's, what is it, Mr. Passport or something like that. Indonesia might be rated high because of Bali, remove Bali, and their rating would probably drop. I don't know about that because if you've been to Indonesia, there are a lot of nice places in Indonesia, and I'm talking about nice hotels. Now, as far as living there, this is just, it says the best countries. It doesn't say best for living. It doesn't say best for tourists, best for expats, or it just says the best countries. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know about them until my buddy sent me their link. They got a nice little channel there. The other guy's got a pretty small channel, but I was looking at accommodation and airfare. The search was short-lived. It was a short-lived inquiry. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, this is the same kind of Switzerland is similar as Cannes. I started looking into things, and I was like, man, some of these prices are outrageous. I'm going to have to think about this, think about that. Then I was like trying to figure in a buffer. You know, how much extra would I probably need in case because when you go to a place and you start figuring things out, there are a lot of things that you, and I'm sure Jono can attest to this, and maybe to a lesser extent, Soy Dog Cowboy. But when you go to a place, initially you're going to spend, and you move there, you're going to spend more money, probably for the first 6 months to a year, than you might think. You know, you might figure out a budget and say, it's going to cost me $2,000 a month, when really, for the first, say, 6 months, you're spending $2,500. Then you start whittling things down, you know. And I mean, I know for a fact, like, there are ways, you know, if I don't want to take the taxi across town, which might cost me 200 baht to get somewhere, 200 baht to get back if there's traffic. Perfect example is, okay, when I went to the train station, the Kanchanaburi train station, that trip, I was using it was a Grab driver, but it wasn't on the Grab dime, you know. I didn't use the Grab app. It's just somebody that I use, me and a buddy, and have used her. And she couldn't actually do it, and she sent her friend, who is also a Grab driver. And I didn't use the Grab app, but I did check the price and everything. And from my house, you know, all in all, it was 400 baht. That was including the tip. That was the money on the tollway. It was 400 baht to get there. Okay. Now, on the way back, I walked out to the street, got myself a taxi. It was 240 baht. So, you know, if I had wanted, I could have taken the bus. I could have taken various methods, and it would have cost less. You can always do that, but you sacrifice the convenience. You know, when it comes to the boat, I know some people don't like the boat, but it is very convenient. And if you go at the right time, you're not as packed. It's not as packed, and you're not like packed in like a sardine or anything like that. Anyway, so that's one of the positives of Thailand. And even, I don't know, Jana, when you go to the grocery store, I forget which one is the one you go, when you go get your Italian stuff, do you get on the SkyTrain, or do you just take a taxi? I can't even remember the places that I got sick from. The last time I got sick, though, I got really, really sick. And, I mean, to the point where I was throwing up so much and so violently that my wife was like, she was really, really scared. And I don't remember what the deal was. That might have been before my my bile duct surgery. I don't really remember, to be honest. She would remember. But, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, man, I don't feel good. And I started just throwing up. And then the next thing you know, she was like holding me up because I was so weak from throwing up. I mean, I was just like almost laying there on the bathroom floor. I mean, I was that bad off. So you do have to be careful, for sure. But again, I will say that if you abide by some of the guidelines that, you know, most people, they know, or I've stated in the past, which is, if you go to a place and the place is completely empty and it looks dirty, like some of the places I went along the tracks, the railroad tracks, like the one place I went, didn't exactly look like the cleanest place. Or the one by the park that I went a couple, I don't know how long ago, a couple weeks ago. I went to the park and I went into this little place to have something to eat, and I was sitting right next, and you looked over and there's a bunch of garbage and stuff like that. So you know there's going to be rats there. So that wasn't the cleanest place. I probably shouldn't have eaten there. Should have went somewhere else, but I didn't. You know, if you go to a place and you see a lot of people eating there, generally, I think the chance of you getting sick is far less. I try to make my destinations near the BTS line. I'll walk to the supermarket once or twice a week. Yeah. Okay, where did I say I was going to go? I'm going to go down to Khao San Road next week, Jono. If you want to go with me, we can, I don't know, we can take a taxi or we can take the boat or whatever you want to do. If you want to go, we can. And we don't have to walk around. We can just go, you know, have a coffee or something and, you know, take a look at what's going on at Khao San right now. Maybe I'll go, well, I hate to go on a Friday. Actually, maybe I can go on a Thursday or Friday, I don't know, next week. Wait a minute, let me see something here. What's today? Today's only the 11th, 12th. Yeah, next week won't be near, I don't know why I was thinking this, Halloween, but What is this? If I were to get dengue fever once, I think that would be it for me. I'd be on the plane back to the United States as soon as possible. Listen, you can get dengue anywhere. What if you already met the one? Would dengue still make you leave? I cannot stay here. I got dengue. Honey, I need to go home. Sorry. I love you, but no more. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, darling. Come on, man. Listen, if you have dengue, you get over it. Your chances are you're not going to die. You know? I've had it. Both my kids have had it now. I think the wife has had it. You know. Well, okay, so then stay in the United States all your life. If you go anywhere tropical where there's a lot of mosquitoes, I can't believe there's no dengue fever in Florida. Because lots of humidity, lots of mosquitoes there. Yeah. What about it? Key West says... hang on a second here. Dengue fever, blah, 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 blah. Therefore, this just tells them... This is floridahealth.gov. Does it say anything about dengue occurrence in Florida? While previously present, the virus was eliminated from the United States decades ago. Okay, since then, a small number of cases have been reported each year in individuals with recent travel history to a dengue endemic country. Okay. In 2009-2010, an outbreak of dengue was identified in Key West. A total of 22 persons were identified with dengue fever in Key West during the summer and fall of 2009. 66 cases of locally acquired dengue associated with Key West were reported in Florida, with onset dates between March and November 2010. Okay, so, yes, not much dengue in the United States. No have too much. No have dengue too much. I gotta stop that. It's really bad. And you know, the other day, Jono, the girl that was sitting next to me, the young teenage girl, or what was she? Was 20 years old or whatever it was. She's sitting there. I'm holding the phone and I'm reading what everybody is saying, and she's looking at what people are saying, and you're writing, she love you too much, or whatever it is. She no love you. You have money too much. Okay, going to lunch with my landlord. Been quite enjoyable to see everyone again. Lunch? What time is it? 11 o'clock. Pretty early. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, Jono. All right. Well, yeah, it's almost 11 o'clock. We've been on here for a while now, 2 hours. And I want to try to keep the streams under 2 hours. You know, when I go out somewhere and I go away, it's easy to get carried away because hard to schedule things and everything like that. But when I'm sitting here or I'm at Starbucks or something, it's a little bit easier to schedule things. So thank you very much. Very much for watching. Appreciate it. I never went to lunch with my landlord. Where did you go? I thought you went out with him before. Where'd you go? Dinner or something? My landlord's never taken us out or me out. She's gonna have another thing coming if this roof caves in. I'll tell you what. Cause Falang like talking too much. He talk too much. He's stupid. First time on Earth, LH, that this has happened, I think. Longhorns. All right. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for contributing to this live chat here. Jono, thanks for gracing us with your presence. I appreciate it. I have been with me to lunch or dinner about 6 times. Yeah. Okay. And what do you have? Chicken wings? You have chicken wings for lunch or dinner with yourself? Okay, so, like I said, later, Jono. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do not forget to click that thumbs up button. Smash. What is it? Hello. Hey, guys. Hey, guys and girls. You know, what can I say? I could say, hey, chowderheads, but I don't want to say that. Hey, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Smash that like button. You smash the like button. Okay? Smash the like button. Good night, Mr. Stephen Moore. Good night, all. What else was I going to say? Click share. Subscribe if you are new here. If you are lurking somewhere, feel free to comment. Leave whether it be in the chat or off the chat. Check out my Amazon shop. Purchase one of my books. Purchase merch from my actual Amazon shop. Become a sponsor on YouTube. Contribute through PayPal. Use the Cash App. And if you do so for the first time, get $5 right back. Become a Patreon patron. Thank you to all my Patreon patrons. I do appreciate you. And the members of my website and everybody else. And, yeah. So thank you very much. Choke D and all that good stuff. And until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. We'll see you later. And I think what I'll do is I'll leave you with a little Here Comes the Sun if I can figure out how to work this thing here. Let me see here. What is this? Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. Thank you, Mr. Bilal. Let me see here if I can get this thing to work. Oh, media source. That's what you do. You click the media source. And I guess I got to click that properties button again. Let's see here. What happened? It doesn't work now? Oh, well. No, Here Comes the Sun for you guys, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to leave you guys with a little Here Comes the Sun. And how come the little alert didn't work on the thing? It didn't work when I got the Super Chats, unfortunately. Let's see if I can get this thing to work here. One more time. Because I know you all love my singing voice. No, doesn't seem to be working. Oh well. That's the way it goes, you know. Technical difficulties. It seems alright. I'll see you guys later. Ciao. Hasta la vista. All that good stuff. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I said, it's alright. Joke 8, jerk and my, all that good stuff.